Here's some food for thought.
Can it be juice?
Thank you, my lovely artificial audience. It's the show about extracting nutrients from plant matter. How about an import for Hawaiian region?
Can it be juice?
On Pikmin 3 on the Wii U and Nintendo Switch, after dealing with the unruly Joust mites, there is an incline that goes into a spiral, which has a fruit that is accessible two ways. You can either climb up a stick or toss up a captain with some Pikmin to go over a small ledge to reach a purple fruit with rounded lumps and a crown. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Dapper Blob, or the Mangosteen, and yes, it can be juiced. Once again, in two ways. More on that later. When it comes to culture, fruit-based creatures abound. But in one Smash Focus series, we had Cherubi and the Cherry before it. Then later, the Mangosteen, which would be familiar to seasoned Pokemon fans as the bouncing cutie found in the Hawaiian region of Alola, called Bounsweet. But what if I told you that this was not the first time that Game Freak and the Pokemon Company adapted the fruit? It actually had its start in, of course, the rejuvenator of berries, the Hoenn region. Which means it's time again for the segment where we ask the question, what did Loston forget? Looking at the Magost Berry. Oh, we're gonna be here a while. Unfortunately, the only uses of the fruit were, once again, a freaking ingredient for Pokeblock, and berry powder, and puffins, and also bartering for items. Not to mention having a sweet and bitter taste, which thankfully the fruit naturally already has. Let's also not forget its natural gift typing of rock. Again, more on that later. However, with the lack of virtue in being an ingredient for Pokemon nutrition and not having its characteristic purple casing, it would make Loxton having little to say about the berry to be justified. Though, I feel Game Freak's decision to first make the Mangosteen a bit of an afterthought to be misguided. But I can tell you that the fruit is used medicinally, as Mangosteens have been studied to treat diarrhea, gonorrhea, UTIs, tuberculosis, thrush, menstrual disorders, osteoarthritis, the disease that is now forever connected to the Oregon Trail, dysentery, and even cancer. In fact, experimental studies of Garcinia mangostana have used its pericarp, as in its peel, rind, or hull, to prove it has antioxidant, anti-tumoral, antibacterial, anti-allergen, anti-inflammatory, and antiviral properties. And yet, both Pokemon versions were not given the ability to heal anyone in battle. Instead, what this fruit is known for is having a sweet aroma and having sweat that is good for sweetener. It's also known for its defeatist attitude. So let's see if all these choices for this fruit make sense. First of all, how sweet is the Mangosteen? Is it actually as sweet as they say it is?
In point of fact, no.
Only 2% of the fruit is in fact sweet. In contrast, the guava has 10 times more sugar content than the Mangosteen. Eat hearty, diabetics. The sweetness of Bounsweet is a fallacy. So where did this fruit come from originally? Not from Hawaii. It's not even the most popular fruit there either. That goes with the pineapple. The truth is, Mangosteens came from Malaysia. They were immigrated. Yep, that's right. It's just like Yungoos, which came from India, by the way. Like Copperajah! Hey, Game Freak, remember that fact when you make the region? So, how did the Malaysian Bounsweet get to Hawaii or Alola? Well, first we will have to rewind to 1890, where European colonists arrived in Southeast Asia, where they found the Mangosteen. They found this exotic fruit to be juicy and slightly sweet as well as sour. However, like most fruit going overseas, it did not last well. Despite the fact that there was a rumor circling around that Queen Victoria would grant knighthood to anyone who bequeathed her with a ripe mangosteen. And thus, that's how the moniker of the Queen of Fruits came to be. As for how it was able to reach the shores of the Hawaiian Islands,
Yeah, that's a recent development.
once upon a time, the only issue for the mangosteen was spoilage. Nowadays, the issue is the Mediterranean fruit fly. So because of its infestation, it was illegal to be imported into Hawaii. Curiously, it took until the year of the release for Ruby and Sapphire, October of 2002, which took irradiating the fruit to make it safer for consumption, but as a side effect made it, as Weird Explorer says,
not organic anymore.
So Bounsweet's personality of not caring of being attacked is pretty on brand for the fruit. At least it gets rock hard when it's overripe. Seriously, while Bounsweet is a purple Pokemon, its berry equivalent is pink. But why? Thankfully, this is really easy. It's very likely the culprit of why the pinkenberries are pink. Lycopenes, which happen to be carotenoids. Which is also the secret of how Flamigo is pink.
This is a Pokemon that is based off of an animal that gets pinker the more it eats certain shrimp.
Because their diet of crustaceans carries carotenes, like beta, lutein, and zeaxanthin. Funny how it all comes together. Huh, Loxton? Funny thing, Flamigo can actually get their pink from eating a lot of mangosteens because they are high in carotenes.
The pinkest thing I've seen in my life. It is the pinkest Pokemon in this entire game.
As well as xanthone, one of the top 2 antioxidants on the planet Earth. So then how is the fruit pink? First of all, they reverse engineered the beta carotenes back into lycopene, as beta carotenes only supply red and orange pigments, whereas its anthocyanins supply purple, pink, blue, red, and orange pigments. Though I doubt they knew of Bounsweet back then. So now let's see what the real fruit is all about. In every mangosteen, it is composed of the following: the calyx or the crown, arils, ovule wall, the exocarp, mesocarp, endocarp, and stamen. The calyx of a mangosteen is the corolla of a fruit. The ovule walls are what seeds wear, like a suit. Arils are a cover. The exocarp's the skin, the mesocarp's the inner layer, and the endocarp is what holds the kernel within. Hey, there's a stamen next, it has a purpose you can guess. It's used for reproduction, and it's a microsporophyll of a typical seed plant, so this is how we will end our introduction. This often expensive fruit found at Asian markets.
Well, at these prices, I'm not surprised.
Using a sharp knife, you can score across the equator of the fruit to get to its interesting interior. Curiously, those who have eaten the fruit like an apple have said it has a bitter flavor. That's one reasoning for the Magost Berry's taste. Or perhaps it's because of the gamboges that happen during excessive wet periods. This is when latex seeps into the flesh part of the fruit, leaving a bitter taste and yellowing. That, or it could be just as simple as the seeds taste that way. And they suffer below 45 degrees Fahrenheit when grown. But there's a bit of deceit going on with the mangosteen. Because while birds do love mangosteens, there is a certain aspect to the fruit that is not good for them. That hole we have to cut into has a wax-like liquid that is like poison to birds. So perhaps the reason why they are so unwilling to care about being attacked is because they want to have the last laugh, being the last thing that bird will eat. Talk about being kamikazes. However, if those bird Pokemon were able to get past the skin, their flesh, sans latex, is rich in vitamin C, B1, B2, B9, carbohydrates, manganese, and magnesium. Now, remember when I said when the mangosteen is capable of creating 2 types of juices?
I wasn't kidding.
Because if you're not a bird, you'd be able to enjoy what juicers call santol-ade. And you can make that by taking the casing of a mangosteen and adding water and a little honey and putting it into a blender. You could even substitute the honey for sugar if you like. That's the first juice. Now the second. You can cut into the flesh as stated before and then remove the wedges and then remove the seeds. Turn them into a pulp, add a squeeze of lemon, add a little sugar, have a cup of water, and then blend it together. Now, I wasn't kidding when I said that the mangosteen was used medicinally. As the fruit, its juice, its casing, its twigs, and its bark are used for medicine. However, with every medication, there are always side effects. So let's see which ones come from the mangosteen. Unfortunately, having too much of this fruit has adverse drug reactions. It may slow down blood clotting, which could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on the person. Causes lactic acidosis, interferes with cancer treatment, causes bloating, headache, diarrhea, acid reflux, and constipation. So as always, use in moderation, or else this Malaysian import will get the best of you. If you like what you see, press like, subscribe, and smash that bell to get notifications on the channel where everything grows on you.